Hey, hey, and welcome back to Miss Kitty's Wild West Adventures. Get ready to saddle up because today we're shining a spotlight on a woman who blazed trails and broke barriers in the Wild West. But not with a gun, with grit and a fierce sense of justice. This is the story of Esther Hobart Morris, the first female Justice of the Peace in the United States. A woman who didn't just make history, she rewrote the rules.
Born in 1814 in Tioga County, New York, Esther Hobart Morris grew up in a time when women had few legal rights. After moving to Illinois and then to Wyoming with her second husband, she found herself in the rugged, male-dominated world of the Wild West. But Morris was no ordinary woman. She was determined to make a difference, not just for herself, but for all women. In 1869, Wyoming made history by becoming the first U.S. territory to grant women the right to vote. Just months later, on February 14, 1870, a clever twist of irony played out in South Pass City. Justice of the Peace, R.S. Barr, in a bid to challenge the new suffrage law, offered to resign his post
whenever some lady elector shall have been duly appointed to fill the vacancy.
The notion of a woman maintaining law and order in such a rowdy town must have seemed absurd to him. James Chisholm, a reporter who visited South Pass City in 1868, described the miners' quick tempers and the near-lethal effects of their liquor. The 1869 elections had been chaotic, with armed drunks swarming the polls and violence erupting over voting rights. Despite this rough backdrop, Esther Morris was undeterred. She saw an opportunity to prove her mettle. By the end of Valentine's Day, Morris had filed the necessary papers with the Board of County Commissioners.
Hey, I hate to interrupt the story, but if you're liking this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to Miss Kitty's Wild West Adventures.
Though the board did not appoint her to Barr's vacated position, as he had anticipated, Morris was given the post previously held by J.W. Stillman. This decision didn't sit well with Stillman, who was unhappy with Barr's jest and the board's choice. In a dramatic turn, Stillman refused to hand over his docket to Morris. Her first action as Justice of the Peace was to have Stillman arrested. However, Morris dismissed the case, ruling that, as an interested party, she could not legally have the former justice arrested. Instead, she began her own docket, a fresh start in her role. Stillman would return to office once Morris's term ended, but Morris's bold actions made a lasting impact. Despite initial resistance, Esther Hobart's role as Justice of the Peace became a significant milestone in the fight for women's rights. Her tenure challenged stereotypes and demonstrated that women could handle the responsibilities and make important legal decisions. Her courage and resilience paved the way for future generations of women in leadership roles. Morris's work was more than just a personal achievement. It was a powerful statement about what women could accomplish when given the opportunity. Her legacy lives on as a symbol of the fight for women's rights and equality. She was a forerunner to the suffrage movement that would eventually grant women across the United States the right to vote in 1920, 50 years after her appointment. Esther Hobart Morris was more than just a justice of the peace. She was a pioneer for justice and equality in a time when women's voices were often silenced. Her story reminds us that the Wild West wasn't just tamed by cowboys and miners, but also by the women who dared to break the mold and change the world.
We'd love to hear your thoughts about Esther Hobart Morris. Leave a comment down below and let us know how women like Morris have shaped the world that we live in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Miss Kitty's Wild West Adventures. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ding the bell for notifications. And in the meantime, I'll catch you on down the trail.